Thank you for joining Wars of the Rosies as we continue with Lesson 54. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. Of International Esoteric and Illuminated Bible Lessons by R. Swinburne Clymer. International Illuminated Bible Lessons prepared for the Sunday Schools of the Church of Divine Illumination. Matthew 26th chapter, verses 31st to 37th. Golden text. Watch and pray that ye enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. Jesus understood that they were desirous of truth and willing to obey in the spirit, but they were not yet freed from the flesh and the desires of the flesh. Verse 31. Then said Jesus unto them, All ye shall be offended of me this night. For it is written, I will smite the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock shall be scattered abroad. Verse 32. But after I am risen again, I will go before you into Galilee. Galilee is the awakened soul. It is then the soul sees and recognizes the Christ and the powers of the unseen worlds. Verse 33. Here we read Peter's great promise of faith and fidelity, which was broken before the dawn of day. Peter always felt so sure of himself, but in the test he often failed. However, we have never read that he was discouraged. He continued in the new faith with energy, and after his illumination, none were stronger and more enduring than he. And they all promised, Though I should die with thee, yet will I not deny thee. But thee, flesh is weak, and we find it so yet. It is always weak and unstable, but we think it is strong before the trial. Verse 36. Then cometh Jesus with them unto a place called Gethsemane, and he said unto his disciples, Sit ye here while I go and pray yonder. And he prayed, O my Father, if this cup may not pass away from me except I drink it, thy will be done. Jesus was the man of flesh in whom the Christ was born. Christ is born into all flesh, but Jesus was the awakened, purified flesh. Judas represents the evil of the flesh, the dark side or self-destroying black brothers, while Jesus is the flesh purified and which accepts the Christ as Father and light of his being. And as Jesus prayed, he realized that his own flesh was also weak. He had given much of his strength in healing and in teaching, and we read that he sweat as it were great drops of blood falling to the ground. And he prayed for the cup of weakness to pass from him. We believe it did. For an angel appeared strengthening him. His fear was not in death that awaited him, but in the fear that the flesh might fail him. The cup of weakness did pass, so that he could go on and fulfill his mission. After he prayed and received strength, he came and said to them, Verse 46, Rise and let us be going. Behold, he is at hand that doeth betray me. Verse 47, And while he yet spake, lo, Judas, one of the 12, came and with a great multitude with swords and staves, from the chief priests and elders of the people. Jesus was surrounded by a multitude of evil, the chief priests and elders of the people. Verse 49, And forthwith he, being Judas, came to Jesus and said, Hail, Master, and kissed him. Verse 50, And Jesus said unto him, Friend, wherefore art thou come? Then came they and laid their hands on Jesus and took him. Even after the betrayal thrust, Jesus called this man friend. How many of us could or would? How many of us could forgive one who hounded us to the death through spite and jealousy and still call that one friend? Jesus did. Verse 51, And behold, one of them which were with Jesus stretched out his hand and drew his sword and struck a servant of the high priest and smote off his ear. Verse 52, Then said Jesus unto him, Put up again thy sword into its place, For all they that take the sword shall perish with the sword. In other words, those who are violent will perish through their violent acts and deeds. Jesus taught the law of non-resistance to evil by evil, and he obeyed it. He called the enemy friend. He returned gentleness, kindness, and forgiveness for evil. Verse 53. Thinkest thou that I cannot now pray to my Father, and that he shall presently give me more than 12 legion of angels? Verse 54. But how shall the scriptures be fulfilled, that thus it must be done? How could he manifest life eternal, immortality, without yielding to material death? How could he prove that there is no death unless he laid down his life? Verse 55. In the same hour said Jesus to the multitude, Are ye come out against a thief with swords and staves for to take me? Evil and wickedness always works under the cover of darkness. It was night forces, the violent, the rabble, the evil against the light. Verse 56. But all this was done that the scriptures of the prophets might be fulfilled. Then all the disciples forsook him and fled. A few hours before, they all declared themselves willing to go with him to the death. But the dweller on the threshold, the betrayer of the weakness of the flesh, was too strong for, the flesh was too weak, and they fled from the Christ. This same old Judas is still betraying the weakness of the flesh, and those who are weak forsake the Christ. But those who are strong as the Christ know the true conception of life will stand firm and invincible like Jesus did. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and comment. And if you can, please consider donating to Wars of the Rosies. Links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. Thank you so very much.